think people forget or possibly never knew that video games were not always, this.
Back then, movies looked like this. And
a tumultuous maelstrom birthed from humble beginnings.
You can't get hooked on it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Some game franchises grow up to question who they even are anymore.
And Charlie Sheen looked like this. That's pre-Tiger Blood right there.
Put directly, video games are an art form practically defined by the isolation it wears on its sleeve like battle armor.
What up, gamers?
Together forever, but forever alone. Turbo 360 no scope.
Beta.
Nothing does isolation quite like video games. Interactivity in art creates uncertainty in consumption. Developers make a thing, devs don't know what you're going to do with thing.
He got the marker and then fast traveled to the marker instantly.
How do you tell a story when the player is the one telling it? Storytelling is difficult when the interactive participants outside of your control are pressing all the buttons. Borderlands was a game where meeting a bunch of strange characters in possibly any order was the structure of the thing. In a lot of ways, the constraints made the story, which brings us to Samus Aran. You.
Ooh, let's go back in time.
Would you survive on an alien world? Can you solve the mysteries and defeat the mother brain? It was groundbreaking, just figure it out, small fry. Probably read a lot of Nintendo Power to get there. It all started here. To say that 1986's Metroid was an escape from a world that got pretty grim for kids is an understatement. 80s kids, say what's up in the comments and list your favorite world absconding entertainment musts.
Monetize your pain, friends.
If the world is always descending into a soup of chaos, then of course every human alive will remember simpler times. The pre-soup times. The Metroid times. When art was about me, someone existing in the world-shifting 13 to 19 demographic during a specific moment in chronological time. Pop culture art was still good when it catered to me. Yeah, we talking about games again. The character of Samus Aran was designed by one Hiroji Kiyotake, a member of Nintendo Research and Development 1. More on that team in a minute. Hiroji is famous for designing two key Nintendo characters. Are you ready for this? Samus and Wario. Hang his jersey up in the rafters? In 1985, Nintendo RD1 is plugging away in the development of Metroid. It is a cool space exploration game influenced by the movie Alien. In a meeting, a team member floats, "What if the person in the spacesuit," get ready for this, was a woman? The entirely male design team then votes on this suggestion. Yeah, that's why you watch your boy Nicky Tits NFT right here. Slam one. 1986 is a real Iran-Contra kind of year, so look, America had a tough 1980s. I was there, do not recommend. I think the haphazard nature of Samus's conception doesn't cheapen her place in the video game pantheon one iota. There's no higher tier a video game character could aspire to be, but it's complicated. The audience, when compared to practically any other popular Nintendo franchise, never materialized. Metroid sales figures are shocking when you look at them. Metroid Dread became the best-selling numbered Metroid game ever, and it had yet to break the 3 million unit sales mark. Doesn't pay to be a bounty hunter, I guess. The space bounty hunter who imprisons people against their will be a woman. Metroid and Castlevania both came out in 1986. I wish I knew that those two video games would literally create a nostalgia-driven subgenre of video games. Yes, even Castlevania 2 brought some super key shit to Castlevania, and I will die on that hill.
How foolish to presume you perish without leaving your class. For now, in Simon's quest for Nintendo, fate stalks your very being. But just keep...
Look, 8-bit video games are the first glimpse at some entertainment industry tectonic shifts that are about to happen. Games need sequels, flashy ones with Mode 7 graphics and shit, because don't get it twisted, upgrading to another new, more powerful console wasn't exactly a household idea yet. Telling your parents that you need a second, newer Nintendo was not always the easiest conversation to broach. Enter the Super Nintendo. She is about to change the world. Metroid, though a beloved beginning for the series, was a modest hit for Nintendo. It ushered in a new era of legitimately moody gameplay where absolutely nothing is explained. Sometimes walls disappear, that's a feature, not a bug. It was a modest success and warranted a sequel, though one with caveats. A new mix of people within Nintendo R&D, one with a smaller budget and team, including a few that worked on the original game, set about making a sequel. And they do it under the tutelage of Hiroji Kiyotake, the director of Metroid 2. What up, my boy? This is your first clue that this wasn't a nothing sequel. Being a game on the monochromatic Game Boy is responsible for giving Samus' suit one of its most iconic features. This game being devoid of color made it extremely difficult to see the variations between the base suit and the Varia suit, for example. Why Samus now has those baller pauldrons. Hey, real quick, I'm gonna do some really sad math, but it's important to understand. But did you know? The user base of the original Game Boy is easily north of 100 million units sold. It's probably north of 120 million to be honest. Metroid 2 on Game Boy sold less than 2 million copies out of 100 million systems. Whoa. Metroid 2 was a sequel to a well-received game on the hottest peripheral on the planet. It's a good-ass game and arguably one of the only ones where you really feel like a bounty hunter. See, there's a counter on the screen, and it's all the Metroids you have to murder. They're babies, so it's... well, okay, it sounds weird when you... but it's narrative ingenuity because Samus is a bounty hunter who ends the game with a new best friend, who she was sent to kill. I'm sure nothing emotionally devastating will befall this newfound friendship. Jesus Christ! Metroid, as a brand, however, is circling the drain. Metroid is definitely in stark contrast to the other big two Nintendo franchises. The first 3 games sold less than 6 million copies combined. The fact that Metroid survived beyond this is absolutely because Super Metroid is such a special moment in time. So that's what we're gonna talk about. Let's get jiggy with it. The year is 1994, home skillet. 1994 is a video game golden age, doomed to Donkey Kong Country, Final Fantasy VI, Sonic 3, Warcraft, Earthbound, Tekken, System Shock, and of course, Super Metroid. Super Metroid was supposed to be the grand conclusion for the Metroid saga. Space sagas come in threes, you see.
But did you know?
Only 3 people that worked on Super Metroid worked on the original game. In addition to that, Nintendo parallelized the development of Metroid 2 and Metroid 3 more than you would think, as they were both games for 2 brand new Nintendo systems. Which from a narrative standpoint is kind of hilarious. You spend the entirety of Metroid 2 just turning every Metroid into monochromatic brain paste, except the last one. Because now you're friends! The bounty hunter and the hunted have become besties. I think this aspect of storytelling, especially game storytelling, is important. Samus saves Metroid, Metroid saves Samus. Somehow they told this story over 3 entirely different systems over the course of a decade. A Metroid died to save your life. I think it's important to remember the game stories didn't yet evolve these feelings. The Super Famicom and Super Nintendo are my favorite consoles of all time. Yoshio Sakamoto, the director of Super Metroid, got his start working as an artist and graphic designer on Donkey Kong for what was this guy's name? When came a time to think about Metroid on the Super Famicom, Sakamoto was entranced by the ability to have a greater power of expression on the console. I'm saying take 100% of the best platform game design the world has ever seen, and you are still left with one of the most isolating game stories of all time. I remember spending 100 hours to save this dude on a plastic brick in the back of a Nissan Sentra, and in my moment of weakness, This broke me at 12. I am the preeminent bounty hunter for our time, and I just failed? I feel like good video game storytelling started here. You experienced this. You felt this. And you already know all the rest of it. Super Metroid has such future-proofed game design that it still grabs people today. A slowly extruding jigsaw puzzle of game design where each new item retrieved expands your abilities twofold and increases your ability to explore an isolating, dangerous ecosystem. Super Metroid is a masterpiece that has already withstood the test of time, not just as a piece of art by video game standards, a work of art by every standard. A greater power of expression, indeed.
And I saved the animals! That's how you do it!
Metroid is a series defined by isolation. Really every game except that one. Yeah, that one. You are the other, not Mario, not Link. Somebody has to put the 3 in big 3, so to speak. Everything is such a homogenous metaculture at this point, it's hard to remember how well these super companies came to be. Samus is most known as a Super Smash Brother, bruh.
Let them fight.
Metroid is a game series, right next to Castlevania, that achieved an entirely new kind of escapism. Never had the world experienced interactive art on this level of complexity. Pong's on the world stage like 12 years ago at this point. Now we're exploring castles and alien worlds. Technology has always moved this fast. The industry had already crashed once. The Metroid series is an absolute work of art. A bounty hunter is just stuck on a planet and has to find a way to survive. No notes, it was perfect. Ask anybody who was a kid in the 80s, it was different. Video games provided landscapes just convincing enough that you could escape to them. On some level, I think Metroid and Zelda were honestly my first two escapes on, like, planet Earth. The technology is literally evolving in front of your eyes. It was a wild time to be alive in a lot of ways. And I mean to say that video games have always been.
And how about this picture of this karate studio? Okay. And this absolutely epic fail right here. Yikes!
That.
You're probably wondering how I got here.
Video games are an escape. That's why the threat of death feels different in the medium of interactive art. We bring what we're going through to the art. In this world, you can overcome it. We, the people of Earth, have made playing a video game a performance art form. Humanity is so obsessed with this self-apotheosis, we literally have an entire swath of humanity dedicated to flossing on our video game deities. Super Metroid is literally at the center of this entire subtext of video game. Save the animals, my boys. The isolation is the point. We're all Gordon Freeman. Video games give people a problem to solve that will entertain them as they do it. Interactive art is supposed to make you feel accomplished. Interactive art is for everybody. This is your story. And this art, all you were ever meant to feel, is isolated. That is the point of Samus Aran. You are forever alone. It's just a fascinating, pulsating neon sign of subtext about this particular avenue of art. This is your story, and the story never changes. Interactive art is a medium predicated on isolation, and I think there's no better illustration of that than Super Metroid, the lowest selling mainline series Metroid game ever. Insult to injury, Yoshi's Woolly World on the Wii U outsold Super Metroid. God, why do I look up facts like this? I just sad. I believe it is important to know when and how things came to be. Once upon a merry Nintendo 64, the company of Nintendo figured out a decade before the rest of the IP harvesters came to roost. It's innocent and cute when they do it. In doing so, they took away Samus's greatest strength, her isolation. Video game crossovers are the synergistic brand hurricane now. The Iron Giant punches Velma in the year of our Lord 2022. Okay.
We are going to see Vinny on the Shaggy, actually. So Shaggy, maybe a pick specific.
There was something singularly profound about Super Metroid in 1994. A game about putting together all the pieces, but failing anyway. A game about overcoming your isolation by making a friend. They should hang Super Metroid in the Louvre. There, I said it. You all buy.
54 megs worth of weapons, worlds, and weirdos old killers up against Nintendo's biggest game ever.
Mama! The baby.
Hello, it's me, Film Michael. You might remember me from such videos as, oh God, please stop talking about. At Filmjoy, it's been rough for us for kind of going on a few years now, so we've been exploring options on what to do. And as so many of you have very helpfully suggested to us, we should talk to Nebula, and as it turns out, we have friends there, so that's what we did. Nebula is a video and podcast platform made by and for thoughtful creators. Soon, you'll be able to experience the entire Filmjoy back catalog remastered by yours truly. Nebula is a Streamy-nominated platform with over 100 independent creators and shows you know and love, ad-free and often early with exclusive extended editions and originals like Patrick H. Willems' first feature film, Night of the Coconut, which I'm in, or Lindsay Ellis's new Nebula original, How They Adapted Lord of the Rings, the good one. Nebula is a great way to support creators directly, and you can get it for free by signing up for the bundle with CuriosityStream. CuriosityStream has thousands of documentaries on demand like Space Greed, a show about the union of capitalism and space stuff. It answers burning questions like, Is any of this legal? And the answer is, of course, kind of. Normally, CuriosityStream is $20 a year. But if you use our handy sign-up link, curiositystream.com/filmjoy, you can get CuriosityStream and Nebula for less than $15 a year. And it helps channels like ours and all of our friends. From all of us at Filmjoy, thank you so much for all of the support over the years. It's time for this channel to evolve. We will still be posting all of our videos to YouTube, but in the future, all of our videos will be Nebula First. For more details on this, check the description. Thank you and good night.